And so we're training for speed walking. We're training with the 90-pound dumbbells. Get me on to the 110s. We're training with Larry Wheels and Anatoli. This is how you do it. Coach Greg, in today's video, we have Anatoli partnering up with Larry Wheels for a workout. And Larry Wheels believes Anatoli is one of the strongest men in the world. At minimum, a top 10, at least pound for pound. But in today's video, we're going to find out how stupid Larry Wheels really is. Now, I know stupid is a strong word, and perhaps he's not all that stupid. He just doesn't have any idea how to do math. Many people struggle with math. Many people don't have any idea what weights people can lift, how much pounds are, kilos, everything. Now, Anatoli, he's not going to BS Larry. He's legitimate, he's honest, transparent. He tells you exactly how strong he is. And in all honesty, he's not really all that strong. You don't believe me? Let's get right into it.
So what are your best lifts to date?
Deadlift 290, squat 210, and the bench press was 150 for a couple of reps, I think.
All right, and so a 290 deadlift, in case you don't know, that's probably around 640 pounds. A 210 kg squat, it's 465 pounds, give or take. And a 150 kg bench, that's about 330 pounds for two. And so let's say for one rep, he might get 160. Now remember, I'm not saying these are not great lifts. They're very impressive lifts, but are they in fact in the top 10 in the entire world?
And what is your body weight now?
Body weight. It's always around 79, always.
And so his body weight, 79 kgs. It's around 175 pounds. And in case you didn't know, Anatoli, he's very tall. When I met him in person, I was shocked at how tall he was. And because he's very lean, his body weight, it's not all that high, 175 pounds. He stands perhaps 5'11". The guy is taller than you expect, but he's a rock solid 175 pounds. And so for those of you thinking that you're not really a big guy if you're not 200 pounds, look at Anatoli. The guy is jacked.
79. That's maybe 160.
Yeah, 160.
And so Larry Wheels and his coach, they do the quick math and they say that 79 kilograms is about 160 pounds. Now, when I first started lifting weights, the weights were in kilos and my goal was to bench press 100 pounds. And I was told that there was 2 pounds for every kilogram. And so what I think they did is they took 79 times 2 and said, yeah, it's about 160 pounds. But there are 2.2046 rounded off pounds in every kilogram. There are 454 grams in a pound, which is 1,000 grams in a kilogram. Did you know that? There's 1,000 meters in a kilometer, 100 centimeters in a meter. The list goes on and on. I remember teaching this vividly when I was teaching grade 8 math. And so between the two of them, Larry Wheels and his coach, neither of them knew that there were more than 2 pounds in a kilogram. Now remember, not everyone is very good in math, but if they're assuming there's 2 pounds for every kilogram, which is why they just doubled 79 and said it's about 160 pounds, why is it they said that 290 kilograms is about a 700-pound deadlift? 290 times 2, if you round it up, it's going to be about 600 pounds. Remember, 290 kg deadlift, it's about 640. But why did they then say, oh, that means he's about 160 pounds and can deadlift about 700. It doesn't make sense. The math is so far off that it's made Larry Wheels feel like Anatoli's the strongest man in the world, pound for pound.
I think pound for pound, you must be top 10 strongest in the world.
No.
No?
Sure, no. Oh.
And so Anatoli's like, no, you guys kidding me? I'm not one of the strongest pound for pound men in the world. There's guys who weigh 60 kilograms. That's a lot less than me. He's 79, who are deadlifting 320. 320, that's close to 700. Anatoli's doing about 640. And these guys are doing it at 60 kilograms, 132 pounds. He's doing it at 175 pounds. Now remember, there are a lot of women in the world much stronger than this pound for pound. I even coached a female, Eva Dunbar, who could squat more than Anatoli. Out squat him and be very close in the bench press. She weighed about 150 pounds, Anatoli 175. And so if there are women out there who are pound for pound stronger than Anatoli, imagine how many men there are. Even Coach Greg, when I was a powerlifter, was far stronger than Anatoli. I know you don't believe me and I'm talking smoke out of my ass. Oh, there's no way you could lift that much. But the lifts are there, they're official, you can look them up. And so in Anatoli's weight class right now, if you were to put up those numbers, he would get obliterated by the top lifters in the entire world. And so if Anatoli were to be able to hit all his best lifts at the same time, all in a powerlifting championship, at the World Championships this year, in his weight class alone, remember, this is not against everyone in the entire world, just his weight class, he would have placed 8th place within his weight class. 8th place. And so in order to be the top 10 in the world, you'd basically have to be the strongest person in your weight class and beat out many other people in other weight classes. Now, in case you want to know who these guys are, you may remember Russell Orhii, one of the best built powerlifters in the entire world. Russell Orhii got second. The winner was Kenjamu Jurins, and he totaled 845 kilograms. In comparison, Anatoli could get on his best day, if everything went perfect, 765. And so perhaps he's in the top 10,000 pound for pound strongest man in the world. I don't know. He's probably at least in the top million, but he is a realist. He's not going to exaggerate it and say, yeah, I can do this, I can do that. And so what Anatoli is he's the world's strongest janitor. At least we think he is. But what makes Anatoli impressive is the way he can perform his lifts. He's dressed like a janitor. He doesn't have a belt on, and he walks up to the bar without properly warming up, and he demonstrates how to do the exercises more efficiently than last time. And if you notice, those plates, they're very thick. The bumper plates and so on, they look heavier than ever before. Sometimes he'll lift a weight over his head with one hand. He has extreme levels of balance, and so that is what is truly impressive. But if he were to enter an official powerlifting competition, because of his height and the fact he goes into higher weight classes, he wouldn't be all that strong pound for pound, at least at the world championship level.
I'm not the one because like my height is 180, so that's pretty not small.
And so his height is 180 centimeters. I did the math out. It's 5'10.9", so roughly 5'11". And so in comparison to Anatoli, I'm very, very short, but y'all knew that. And so I'm not trying to say Anatoli's not strong, but I admire the fact that he is saying, no, Larry, no, I'm not the top 10 strongest men pound for pound in the world. I'm strong, but I'm not as strong as you think. Oftentimes people lie and they tell things that are not true. Anatoli, I do believe, is 100% natural, and to do these lifts, it's truly phenomenal. But he's not in the top 10 strongest men in the entire world.
So your goal now is bodybuilding more or powerlifting?
Both. Bodybuilding, powerlifting, and maybe slap fight.
And so Anatoli asked Larry, what kind of things are you training for right now? He says, are you a bodybuilder? Are you a powerlifter? What are you training for? He's like, I'm just doing a little bit of bodybuilding, powerlifting, and I think I'm training for slap fist competitions. He said, oh yeah, you did that competition? And Larry saying, yeah, I still have a headache from yesterday. How exactly do you train for this sport? I mean, I get it. You can practice how hard you can hit. You can do the wind-up and so on. But how do you practice getting punched in the face? Do somebody just walk up and punch you in the face and you get used to it? How do you practice for this? And remember, Larry Wheels cares about his health. The guy slapped him harder than last time. If you get hit in the neck and the jaw, you can literally break bones. Have you seen the swelling on that guy? It went viral. The guy got slapped in the face so hard, looked like his face had a face. How is this an actual sport? And so if you actually care about your health, you're not going to stand there and let somebody punch you in the face for fun.
I mean, after taking the slap from the biggest, strongest guy in the sport.
The strongest guy, yeah?
Yeah. Anyone I were to slap in my weight category couldn't hit as hard as him.
Larry, I hate to break it to you, but he never went all out. That was not everything he had. He might have looked like he swung really hard, but he was holding back a little bit. And so you're saying, well, no one in my weight class could hit that hard? I think they can. And what if they miss by a little bit? Remember, when you're slapped, there's a big difference between being slapped by the fingers and getting slapped by the palm of your hand. It's a weapon. You may as well say, hey, get this bat and hit me with it. It's harder than last time. And so I really don't want to see Larry Wheels get hurt. He doesn't need to do this to get money, to get fame. I honestly think it would be safer for him to continue in bodybuilding and go for his pro card. Getting slapped in the face to this extent, it is not healthy. I'd rather see Larry do something safer. Perhaps he could compete in natural bodybuilding, natural powerlifting, something. But please don't get slapped harder than last time. But speaking of harder than last time, if you can't get your downstairs harder, well, why not pick a bottle of this? Code Greg, 15% off.
And it looks like he didn't wind up and put all his power into it. because he tries to be more accurate. But he put plenty of power to put me on my ass.
Exactly, Larry. If you think that you just took the hardest slap in the world, that he couldn't have hit any harder than this, you're wrong. If he wanted to, he most certainly could have put you down and you likely would not have gotten up. Please think twice. Don't enter the competition.
Do you have a big appetite? Do you eat a lot?
No. Like 2, maximum 3 times per day. Maybe maximum 3,000 calories.
And so everyone thinks these guys are eating so many calories. Anatoli says I eat 2, maximum 3 times a day, max of 3,000 calories. Guys, people don't often eat as much as you think. You think they're eating 5,000 calories a day or 2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. In the reality, most lifters are not doing this. A few of the guys are, maybe, but most are exaggerating to look cool, to brag, and so on.
Wow. Yeah. That's pretty impressive.
And so, yes, here's the thing. They're moving around very impressive weights. It's very heavy. But the problem is the form is atrocious. I get it. We're trying to show off. We're trying to show how strong we are. But if you try to copy this, you're not going to build the same level of muscularity as if you were using proper form. This, in my opinion, is called ego lifting. I'm not saying they can't do it. They have every right to lift the way they want. But if you're watching this video and copying them, it's going to be a lot easier to lift a heavy weight in this fashion than if you're doing it proper. Did you notice the form? Lifting like this, there's not a lot of range of motion. If you lift the weight to the side and you supinate, that means your hand turns up. Your pinky would be higher than your thumb. You're twisting up like this. Notice the bicep contracts. You're getting a greater contraction and peak on the muscle. And on the way down, the weight should go a lot slower. If you notice the form on these lifts, they're just trying to move maximum weight with minimum distance. It's not nearly as impressive if they were going through a full range of motion with proper lifting technique. And so just think of it. If you're going like this, it's not as difficult as if you go like that. Notice, which do you think is going to build more muscle? Essentially, one, you're cheating the rep. You're making it a lot easier. And so it almost looks more like he's doing a one-arm row while standing vertically than he's doing a bicep curl. And although it's still going to train the biceps, it's not nearly as good, nearly as effective, or nearly as safe as if you're going through the proper range of motion with proper technique.
Yeah, good. Pretty good.
Notice the lack of control in the eccentric. If you're trying to optimize hypertrophy, you're not going to be swinging the weight. You're going to be going through a full range of motion, and you're going to lift the weight slower on the way down than on the way up.
Waiting for the gold one, Brian.
Yeah.
All right, 130.
350-pound dumbbells are coming here soon. Whew.
And so what Larry's asking for right now is a very good chance of getting injured. Remember, Larry has already torn partially his bicep when training for strongman. There's no reason to ego lift in the gym. This is ego lifting. It's very dangerous. It's very risky. It's not worth it. And in particular, if you're using steroids. When you use steroids, you're at greater risk of injury because the muscles get stronger than the tendons and ligaments. And so when you curl that weight, you might have the strength to lift it, but the muscle doesn't have the strength to not get torn. You get that? And so when you're doing exercises like the bench press or bicep curls in particular, you're very likely going to get injured. Remember Callum von Munger? Remember when he tore his bicep ego lifting with Chris Bumstead? Imagine if that had happened to Chris. Chris went on to win 5 Mr. Olympia titles. Callum von Munger, he went on to win none. Do you get what I'm saying right now? Imagine if it had happened to the other person. Imagine had Chris had torn his bicep. And then imagine if Chris had then climbed down that mountain and torn his quad. Perhaps Chris would have been on a downward spiral. We just don't know. And so please avoid injuries harder than last time.
All right, 130s, let's go. Perfect form.
Oh yeah, nice.
Perfect form.
And so they joke and say perfect form. And so, yeah, he moved the weight. 130s is very impressive. He's literally curling his body weight. But at what cost? The range of motion is not there. They're swinging the weight. They're not getting the same peak contraction, the eccentric. There's no control. And so why bother?
You know Julius?
Yes, of course.
He was here in the grand opening, couldn't get them in his hands properly. He actually ended up pulling his pack.
And so he's describing about the dumbbells on the floor, how they were helping a guy to use them and ended up tearing his pecs. I mean, not surprising. What is the point? What is the purpose? It's not worth it.
120, bro. Let's get it.
Let me go 110. I'm still a little nervous with the bicep
tear.
And so he says, yeah, 120 is a little heavy. I'll go with the 110s. You know, I'm still a bit nervous about the bicep tear. Why are we even thinking about the one anything? We need to lift double digits. There's no reason to be dumbbell curling over 90 pounds. Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. And so we're training for speed walking. We're training with the 90-pound dumbbells. Get me on to the 110s. We're training with Larry Wheels and Anatoli. This is how you do it.
Can't get more torn, can it?
No, just retorn.
I mean, if you've already torn a bicep, for example, these guys both have, they're worried about having it retorn. Isn't once enough?
Come on, man.
God damn.
And so, yes, he lifted the weight. No, the form wasn't good. I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but this is not safe. This is not proper lifting technique. You guys should not be copying this. And so Anatoli is lifting very heavy weights here. He's got a 45-pound plate on each side, but notice he's going halfway down. And if you're training for muscle hypertrophy, remember, you're going to want to go all the way down. The long range partials has been shown to be more effective than the short range. And so why not do full range of motion? Avoid ego lifting in the gym. Lift a lighter weight than last time. Even if you are just training for strength, you don't want to put on such a heavy weight that you're compromising your technique and risking getting injured.
Single arm.
Yeah.
And so again, they're doing half reps. I mean, I'm just stating the obvious. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm trying to help you all to stay safe and avoid getting injured.
This is my 4th time doing biceps in 3 years.
Oh.
So I had my bicep surgery and I just stopped training arms.
This is his 4th time training biceps in 3 years because he tore his bicep. It wasn't worth re-injuring. And so in the 4th session in training in 3 years, why don't we train all incorrectly with 110-pound dumbbells? Does this make any sense? If you're so worried about re-injuring your arm that you only train your arm 4 times in 3 years, why are we using maximum heavy loads just for a video? I mean, do we really have this big of an ego where we have to risk injury, all for the views?
So,
Well, let's go 225.
well, you want to go 1 1/4?
Quarter? Yeah.
Smart.
No rush.
And so, no big deal. Let's work our way up to 225-pound barbell curls. I mean, we've been practicing for a couple of weeks now. We've only been training arms 4 times in 3 years. Why don't we put on 225 pounds?
Fitter.
Что по одной руке делаешь? То есть, по сути, похожая нагрузка на бицепсе то и то. Просто чуть другое.
Shots fired, huh?
One thing I don't suggest you ever do is put the barbell on top of the bench press as the rack to hold the weights. I'm telling you. Now, Larry Wheels and these guys, they can get away with it. Larry Wheels is a monster. No one's going up to tell him, hey, get that weight off the bench. But if you're a regular gym goer and somebody's holding up the bench press because they've got a 45-pound bar resting on it because they want to perform barbell curls, let me tell you, it's not going to be a pretty sight. Also of note, don't do bicep curls in the squat rack.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's just swing up those 185 pounds. After all, you've been preparing for this moment for a couple weeks in 4 years. No, don't do this.
It's not even. See, it's effortless though.
I mean, I wouldn't call swinging the weight up quickly with body English being easy. I would call it hard, but I guess your easy is somebody else's hard.
Oh, fuck.
In here.
Oh yeah.
Let's go.
Oh yeah.
And so with his formerly torn bicep, he shows Larry Wheels how to cheat curl 225 pounds. Keep the weight close to your body. It's less range of motion. It's going to be a lot easier. And so why are we doing that? When you're lifting weights, try to make the weight harder. If it's harder to lift a weight, you're not going to need as much weight, less chance to get injured.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
There's the one.
Smart to stop there.
And so thank God they start at 225 pounds. They said smart to stop there. It would have been smart to stop one plate on each side ago. You don't need to lift this much weight. And so there you have it. If you haven't heard of or subscribed to Anatoli, where have you been? Go and subscribe to Anatoli. And if you haven't followed to Larry Wheels, absolutely have to follow him. He does crazy lifts like this, but hey, he's doing what he loves to do. Perhaps he won't make it very long if he keeps doing these crazy stunts. We hope he doesn't get injured. Wishing him the best. ending it here. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Please like the video if you liked it. Watch one of those 2 bloops. And so, of course, if you're interested in any of the supplements, the Harder Than Last Time clothing line, the cookbooks, the Circle Diet book, the training books, all this stuff, get over to my website. We also have a free diet and training program. It's close to 50 pages. Head over there right now, as well as join the 300,000 plus newsletter subscribers. And until next time, I am out.